Hello, welcome back to my channel. This video is all about my personal goals. While my focus here on my YouTube channel and my business in general is to help you achieve your personal goals, I like to also share my goals with you as well. I feel like seeing a real person and their real goals, their real successes and real failures, spoiler alert for this video, I think can be very beneficial. So each month I sit down and I share all the action steps I had planned for April and how they went, and then all the action steps that I have set for May. I am not anticipating this video being very long, famous last words, right? Because my May goals, looking at them side by side, almost gonna be the exact same as April. So there's gonna be a lot of carryover and a lot of the same things. I've added a few things and I'm changing a few things up, which I will obviously talk about and share with you. But in general, it's pretty close. So let's just jump right in with the April one-time steps. So the first one was to work on a list of workout places, in-person workout classes that I wanted to try here in Chicago. And I did that. I think actually it only has though like 6 or 7, and not because I didn't spend time doing it. Let me see. Yeah, 6. That's just, that was the list that I could find in my neighborhood because I wanted something within walking distance. We don't have a car and I'm open to taking public transit to workout classes. I definitely did it in New York City, but time is so valuable these days. And unless it was like the best thing ever, and maybe someday I will for a dance class, I don't foresee myself in this season of life commuting to a workout class. So I just stayed within my like walking bubble and classes that I thought looked interesting to me. And I have 6 places on my list. So I did that step. I don't know why I was expecting more. I think it was just in New York, there were so many workout studios, but it was also pre-pandemic. I think we've lost a lot of in-person workout studios, unfortunately, because everyone had to pivot and figure out their own thing at home. So I don't know why I'm babbling about this one step. Next step was to take one workout class. And this is where we're gonna go on the overview of April and why in general, April is a little bit sparse. And truthfully, I'm filming this video April 18th. So there's still a lot of the month left, but because I'm filming and traveling, I tend to do my videos, these types of videos, a little bit earlier than I normally would. And I think, I don't know, I need to think about it a little bit more because when I did my April goals, there were 2 people coming to visit that weren't set in stone yet. It was like a maybe we're coming to visit, but nothing was official. And if I had known what April was gonna look like, I wouldn't have put all these things down on my April list. It's as simple as that. But ultimately, we ended up having a really busy first weekend. And we had company for a few days, a Wednesday through Friday. Then my dad was here for 4 days, Friday through Tuesday. I guess that's really 5 days, but regardless. And then Saturday, we leave for our first trip with our daughter. And so packing for not just me for a week, but also for her. And then also my mom, on top of all that, my mom is out of town and she usually helps watch my daughter while either I'm getting work done or if I need to get something personal done. And so trying to do work and personal things and pack has proven difficult. And so all of that, I'm not saying any of that at all from a complaint or negative standpoint. It is just some of it I knew and some of it I didn't know. And some of it I underestimated, right, going into the month, that I was overambitious. And thinking I was gonna get a workout class in this month was that me being overambitious. So that one didn't happen, totally fine. The next one was to make the list of places that I want to explore in Chicago. And I started this, I gave it the complete check mark because I felt like I exhausted it off the top of my head. It doesn't mean that it's done. I want to check in with my husband. I want to check in with my mom. I want to maybe do a couple of Googling type things. But off the top of my head, in terms of the things that I want to explore in Chicago, I made the list. I think I mentioned this in last month's video, but I have it split up into 3 sections. 1 is restaurants that I want to try. 2 is neighborhoods I want to explore. So there's like cute little neighborhoods. I just want to like walk around, maybe have a meal there, not necessarily somewhere specific, but explore that little neighborhood. And then 3 is like attractions. I've been to some of these, right? The aquarium, the planetarium, but I want to take Lila. And also now that I live here, they do either free or discounted days for Chicago residents. And I want to take advantage of that. So that was the only other monthly task that I completed. The next one was part of my monthly and weekly recurring task goal, and it was to do 12 monthly tasks. I have made progress on this. It is possible that I finish these by the end of the month. Some of these things, as we get into steps I haven't done, I'm just pushing them to May and I'm not gonna worry about them. And some of them I am still going to try to get to by the end of April. I honestly still haven't decided yet if I'm gonna count the week of 4/29 as April or May. That is a decision I feel like usually I lean on the side of the new month, especially when it starts on a Wednesday. But given that we're just gonna be getting back from out of town, like, do I wanna look at that week as a new month, or do I want it to be a fresh start the following week? I honestly have not made that decision yet. Either way, I'm hoping to finish this one before the month ends. The next one was to make a plan for the cleaning routine, for our cleaning routine, and not necessarily implementing any of it, but making a plan, and I haven't had time to sit down and think about that. The next one is to watch a video about learning how to use my air fryer. I did not get to that one. And the last one was working on the list of air fryer recipes. Some of those I've moved to next month, which you'll see when we get there, and some of them I haven't. Moving on to weekly steps. So the first 2 weekly steps were about workouts. And in last month's video, I think I explained why I thought it would be helpful to try both days and minutes. And spoiler alert, I've done the same for May, but I don't know it's gonna be helpful. I may go ahead and cross one off, if I'm being totally honest. I've already written it down. Like, it is already written, but I may go ahead and cross one off because I think by doing both, I had it in my head that, well, my workout has to be a certain length in order for me to hit the day and the minute goal. And so then if I didn't feel like working out, or I didn't think I had that much time, which it's never that, like, I have that much time, I would just put it off. And I'm actually gonna try, here's what I'm gonna do before I cross something off. Next week, while we are traveling, I'm going to try a higher frequency but lower minutes and just see how it feels. And based on how that goes, because I also won't have any of my equipment. So I actually went ahead on the Peloton app and I bookmarked a bunch of shorter workouts, body weight only. And we're gonna see how it goes. We're gonna see how that feels next week. And then I might decide that I'm gonna cross one of them off for May. But all that to say, I did it in week 1. Week 2, I fell short in both scenarios, which again, I could have maybe hit the days if I hadn't had the mentality that it had to be a certain length. I am not necessarily on pace to hit it this week, but I have it in my schedule to do both today and tomorrow, and hopefully I'm gonna hit it. But as of the filming of this video, I have not. The next weekly item was to do 2 monthly tasks to kind of stay on pace with my monthly tasks for the month. The first week I did 0, and I talked about that a little bit more. I'm really trying to make sure that's not super repetitive, but I do update you on my goals on a weekly basis as part of the live. So even if you're not interested in the live topic, or you're not interested in the Q&A portion of the live, if you are interested in just a goal check-in on a weekly basis, I literally pop up a picture of this taken that morning and share it with you and some thoughts on the live. So on the live for that week, I talked about, or like the week after, I talked about why I didn't get anything done in the monthly or all of the weekly tasks. And truthfully, it was, I just started the quarter in a slump. It was pouring. The weather just was absolutely disgusting. I felt incredibly overwhelmed with the amount of things I needed to get done. It was like right after the 2 visits had been finalized. And so I felt like a lot of like futuristic stress about that. And don't get me wrong, I'm so thankful that people came to visit and we got to spend time with them. But it was like, okay, now I need to kind of reconfigure the plan that I had made for the month. So I didn't do any on the monthly the first week, and I didn't do all of the weekly tasks the first week, but then I more than made up for it in week 2. And I am doing some this week. Next week, I probably won't do any unless I do them when we get back, which honestly, while I think me sharing the weekly goal check-in, somebody requested it on the live as a benefit for you. I think it's a benefit for me, because what used to happen is after I finished filming this goals video, I stopped tracking. I was like, no one else is gonna see this piece of paper for the next forever. I'm not even gonna use it anymore. And that is not gonna be the case, because I'm gonna show it to you on the live the week I get back. Actually, the week of May 1st, yeah, I probably will show both April, and I actually won't show May because this video won't be up yet. So that live will have already happened if you want to see like the final recap of what April turned out to be. Let's talk about the daily steps. The workout was just to track, just to have a place to check it off, especially given the fact that like last week I did 2 and not 3. So I didn't get the check mark in the weekly, but I got 2 check marks in the daily section. My PM routine, this is one of the things that we're kind of changing. It wasn't bad, but it looks better on paper than it felt, if I'm being honest. And when we get to May, I'll talk a little bit more about what I'm doing differently to make it feel better. All right, the Instagram limit and the PM cutoff. This one also looks better on paper than it felt in real life. And here is where I'm going to not necessarily break my own rule, but give you kind of two schools of thought. So if you watch these videos, you know I don't need to see check marks in every section on this paper to feel good about the month. That is not the case. It's never been the case. I know that I'm making progress on my goals, even if there's things I don't check off. But there are some things that when I get in the habit of skipping over them and overriding and not following through on the commitment, it gets easier to do that. It gets easier to not follow through on the commitments. And the daily Instagram limits and the PM cutoffs were one of those. And I think part of it was I was a little overambitious with the limit. So for the Instagram limit, I kind of took what my average was for the last month or so, and I cut back on it, but I cut back pretty significantly, and it was probably just too much. Like, that was way too much. And then the PM cutoff, I think I was being, in the same vein, I was being optimistic about like, this is the time I'd like to be done, but it wasn't like that was the time I was. And I always tell you to start with where you're at. I don't know why I decided to save the PM to talk about till May, but here I am explaining to you what's going on with this one. So all that to say, it looks pretty good on paper, but I'm gonna do it differently in May. Well, we'll talk about it when we get to May. Okay, the last two daily items. One was to get through 300 photos. From a action step standpoint, totally working, following through. I don't plan to do it on the weekend, so that one worked out. And then weekly task, almost the same thing. My goal here was to do one Monday through Friday, but again, our weeks have looked a little bit weird over here in April, so I feel good about those check marks. Overall, April was a great month. Like, we had so many awesome things going on in April that I absolutely loved. My goals were not necessarily one of those things. So let's move on to May. So the first one-time step is to take one workout class. I feel like I can manage that in May. The next one is new, and that is to do one adventure. So from the list of things that I made to explore in Chicago, I want to do one of them. One restaurant, one neighborhood, or one attraction. The next one is to get through the 12 monthly tasks, so same as the month before. The cleaning routine, carried that over from April. The air fryer video also carried that over from April. The one I didn't do was air fryer recipes, and when we get to the weekly section, you'll see why. The last one-time step isn't directly correlated with my quarterly goals because it's based on a quarterly goal from Q1. And I just kind of went on a little bit of a rant is probably not the right word. I talked about this on the live from yesterday, so April 17th's live. I talked about how, no, actually that may have been the community call from the night before, from April 16th, that we have goals that when we first start them, yes, it was, because a community member asked about how how to continue with a goal, how to stick with it when you've already done it. And her example was, she was like, I organized my planner supplies and they looked good and everything was great, and then I let them get messy again. And what I explained was a couple of things. Number one is some goals have a phase one where it's triage mode, and we are trying to power through and spend more time on something to get it into a good baseline. And that's very common for like a cleaning or decluttering goal. And so in Q1, my goal was to organize the kitchen, and I did it in triage mode and it was in good shape. Then part two is the maintenance. So maintaining that space or whatever the goal is to keep up with it. And in an ideal world, our maintenance keeps it to a place that we won't ever have to go back and triage again. Does that always work? No, life happens. But now, likely, hopefully, when you go back to triage again, it doesn't take you near as long as it did the first time. So I noticed that there was a part of our kitchen, like two particular cabinets, that keep getting cluttered. And it's mostly my fault for not putting the things back where they belong. And so I know that in order to get back to an easier maintenance, I need a good one-time session to get those back into shape. So I put an action step for May to do a 15-minute organization session just for those 2 cabinets. All right, moving on to the weekly steps. So like I mentioned before, I carried over workout days and workout minutes with the intention of keeping them the same. And I think I need to either decrease them, or one or both of them, or only focus on one in May. So I'm gonna give myself the rest of April to kind of decide, but keep an eye out on the lives and you'll see what I've decided to do. Then I have the same task goals as I did last month, 2 monthly tasks per week and 7 weekly tasks per week. And then the new weekly action step is to use my air fryer every single week. So instead of going on a hunt and making it a one-time step to find air fryer recipes, I am just gonna make it a goal to use it weekly. And I usually do that now, but I'm gonna make more of an effort. When I'm meal planning for the week, at least one of our meals has an air fryer component to it. And then if I like that, that will go into my bank of air fryer recipes. One thing I also realized while working on my goals for this month is that I probably will just be building confidence with this one tool. When I set this quarterly goal, I kind of had the mindset that I was going to do 1 tool per month, and it's kind of just lending itself to be all about the air fryer, which is fine because I think that's the tool in our kitchen that I want to utilize the most and feel the least confident with. Moving on to daily items. So I kept workout the same. I kept it as a daily item and in the same mentality that I'm just tracking the days. PM routine. So here's what I think happened a little bit in April. I definitely phoned it in. I still truly believe that your routine still counts, even if you don't do the whole thing. Period, the end. However, there are certain steps of my PM routine that are like, of course you're gonna do that. Like, I'm gonna feed the cat before I go to bed. And there were nights in April that was all I did, and I counted it as my PM routine. Not every time, but like there were definitely times. Maybe I did that and like one other step, and I counted it as my PM routine. And I do think it counts, but as somebody who's trying to work on my PM routine, that is not the foundation I'm looking to set. I want to get to a place where there are days like that. There's going to be days that all I do is feed the cat and maybe one other step or maybe no other steps, and that's my PM routine for that night. But as I'm working on it as a goal, that's not what I'm working towards. So what the check mark in May is going to mean is that I actually click start on the Routinery app. Now, there again might be nights that I skip through everything except feed Charlie and get into bed, but I think there are some other steps in there that are shorter that I forget. I literally just forget that they're part of my routine, and I want to do them more. So that is what that step means in May. Instagram limit and PM cutoff, really. I need to increase both of them. I want to focus on consistency. I would rather have it be higher and see more check marks in May and build the habit of not overriding my limits or my PM cutoffs than the other way around. So for the PM cutoff, I'm just gonna add a chunk of time and just push it later in the evening. And then for the Instagram limit, I'm going to actually go back and look at my numbers for both March and this point and April probably, and actually calculate out the average from both months and then maybe decrease it by 5 minutes. Maybe. Like, an average means an average. It means there were days I did more than that. So even if my limit is the average, I'm going to likely still improve the average the next month, right? I didn't need to lower it, especially as much as I did. So that is my plan. The steps are still the same. The numbers are changing, and in fact, they're going up, which to some of you may feel like I'm going backwards, right? It may sound like, wait, you're increasing the numbers from what you did in April? And the answer is yes, because I want more check marks from a what that is gonna feel like standpoint, and not just being like, I'm overriding it and getting into that bad habit. So that is how I am kind of changing and focusing on those in May. Photos, I've upped it to 500. Like I said, I was proud with the number of days that I did the photos in April. The problem is that when I calculated out that 300 number, that assumed I did most days. And I don't want to do it on the weekends. I would rather do more as part of my morning routine on the weekdays. So I've increased the number for May. And then the last one is just to do my weekly tasks, kind of the same as the workout. I'm just tracking. all in all, May looks very similar to April. And on one hand, it makes me bored already just looking at it. And I talked about that that was on the live yesterday. I talked about the struggles that I have related to goals. And one of those is getting bored with my goals. But that is how you make progress sometimes. Sometimes you're just gonna get bored and you've got to focus on the small, somewhat boring steps and keep focusing in order to see progress and success. So that is what my May is looking like. Let me know down in the comments, what is one goal that you have for May that you are really excited about? One action step that you want to share with us. I would love to hear about it. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every week focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. Hello, welcome back. That was weird. But what I'm trying to, like it looks, again, look, my foot's asleep. The air fryer video,